Hello, hello. Thank you, thank you. Everyone, settle down, please. What do we as humans have in common with cars, windmills, and plants? Every machine, simple or complex, needs a fuel source. No gas and a car cannot run. No wind and a turbine won't spin. Without the sun, a plant cannot perform photosynthesis. Hi, my name is Mike Herzog. I'm a nutrition student at AACC, and I'm here to talk to you about what we use as a fuel source. We as humans may not have literal gas tanks, turbines, or a need to photosynthesize, but we too need fuel in the form of nutrients. The USDA now recommends the MyPlate system to encourage a balanced diet. But what is it that we're even balancing? The answer is macronutrients. Let's talk about that word for just a moment. Macro, meaning big, nutrients, a substance that provides nourishment, aka energy, aka fuel. If you've ever read the nutritional facts on a food label, you're already familiar with some of these concepts and some of the terminology. Carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids, or fats, are the three macronutrients we'll be discussing today. Starting with carbs, a widely available and below average source of calories, coming in at just 4 calories per gram. They come in two varieties, simple and complex. Simple carbs are either one or two molecules of fructose, sucrose, or glucose. If it ends with an ose, it's probably a carbohydrate. These simple sugars break down very quickly in the body, providing a huge blood spike due to the insulin response. They are generally considered an inefficient fuel source, although they are immediately available to the body for consumption. Complex carbohydrates are long chains of these simple sugars. They take much longer to break down, lowering the blood sugar spike and providing energy over a much longer period of time. A subcategory of complex carbs is fiber. Fiber is a complex carb that the body cannot break down. Its main role in the body is to help digestion in the intestines. Fiber also helps you feeling satiated or keeps you from being hungry. I like to think of fiber as oil in a car. It isn't used for an actual fuel source, but it helps facilitate the operation. What happens to carbs once they're in the body? Whether simple or complex, the body breaks them down into individual molecules of glucose, there's that OS word again, to be redistributed by the liver through the bloodstream. This is then used as energy in all cells. Most, especially red blood cells, prefer using glucose as a fuel. Carbs are cheap, easy, and widely available. Now let's talk about what all that energy is used for. Proteins. Also below average, at only 4 calories per gram, proteins are made up of chains of amino acids known as a peptide. There are 21 different amino acids, all made of the same building blocks. An amino acid is made out of a group of carboxyls, which are carbon and oxygen molecules, and amine molecules, which are nitrogen and hydrogen molecules. There is also a third group of molecules in an amino acid known as the R group. This is what makes the amino acids different. They all made out of the same things, but the structuring of that R group is what changes them around. Of the 21 amino acids, some are essential and some are non-essential. Essential amino acids cannot be produced in the body and need to be obtained from an outside source, usually through diet. Non-essential ones can be synthesized within the body. The various combinations of these non-essential and essential amino acids are what makes a full protein. Now, what happens when we eat a full protein in the body and it goes into the body? Once it enters the digestive system, it's immediately broken down into enzymes and by enzymes into the amino acids, then redistributed through the body to become whatever protein is needed at the time. These can be used for antibodies, muscles, hair, bones, hormones, or even for moving glucose through the bloodstream. On to the last macro, certainly not the least, at a whopping 9 calories per gram. More than twice its macro brethren are lipids, or fats. Fats are made by chains of fatty acids that are connected to a single triglyceride. These chains can be medium, short, or long, even very long. Fats come in 2.5 varieties: saturated fats and unsaturated fats. We'll get to that 0.5 in just a moment. But first, let's talk about saturated fats. Generally considered unhealthy by the American Heart Association, these fats tend to be solid at room temperature, think butter, margarine, and are commonly believed to lead to artery blockage. If you've ever poured bacon grease down a drain, you know what I'm talking about here. Unsaturated fats are considered to be healthier by the American Heart Association. These fats tend to be liquid at room temperature. Think olive oil, avocado oil, even canola oil that hasn't been hydrogenated. We'll get to that word in a minute. There are 3 types of unsaturated fats: poly, mono, and trans unsaturated fats. These differ from each other by containing double bonded carbon molecules. Without getting super chemistry, mono and polysaturated unsaturated fats are based on the number of double bonded carbon molecules. Then there are also trans fats. Trans fats are unsaturated fats that have been partially hydrogenated to add hydrogen atoms, essentially taking a healthy fat like an oil and turning it into an unhealthy solid fat like a saturated fat. These fats are very rarely found in nature and therefore are very hard for the body to digest and utilize. Once fats are in the body, what are they used for? Fats typically are used to create cell membranes and to insulate the body from outside temperatures. They can be stored for later use as energy in the absence of carbohydrates. They are also used to protect and cushion the vital organs. They also play an essential role in vitamin absorption and controlling our hunger. Now, before I go, I know we've covered a macro topic in this relatively micro-sized talk. We've covered the roles of macronutrients, carbs, proteins, and fats, and the ways they interact with our internal engines. It doesn't take a macro-sized brain to understand these relationships and how they keep us running. I'll leave you with a quote from my favorite science communicator that I think is very relevant here. Bill Nye once said, "There is no known machine that is more efficient than a human being on a bicycle. 1 bowl of oatmeal, get 30 miles. Nothing comes close to that." Thank you.